Well, Facebook gave the Oversight Board the final say on the account. Now, either it was going to be thumbs up for the president to return, which would have pleased his allies, or thumbs down to confirm his suspension. Now he's being put in sort of a halfway house, which means Facebook executives will be left with the controversial decision over the 6 months. It's the very kind of decision they'd hoped the board would make for them. Dex Hunter-Torre is the head of communications for the Facebook Oversight Board. Joins me now from London via Skype. The decision is quasi-judicial in its tone, but they didn't decide whether or not Donald Trump even should be reinstated. Why didn't they reinstate him during this 6 months of policy making?
Well, Richard, Facebook has a responsibility to make the decision here. They have rules. They interpreted them in a way that the board found was not correct. We have told Facebook very clearly in the next 6 months they need to go back and apply a penalty to Mr. Trump that is consistent with their rules. And the indefinite suspension is not something that is supported by their rules. It's something that doesn't have clear criteria for when it's imposed or lifted, and leaves it entirely to Facebook's discretion. That's not acceptable from the board's point of view as we're looking to defend freedom of expression.
The public, the Vox Populus view on what the board did is you punted it. You punted it back to Facebook. You had the opportunity to say indefinite bans, yes, indefinite bans, no. Political players, well, but you didn't.
Yes, well, the board was asked the question, which was, is Facebook's indefinite suspension appropriate? We've told them clearly it's not. Facebook has a responsibility to act here, right? They can't simply offload their hard problems to the board or anyone else. As a company which makes the rules and builds the technology, they have a responsibility to act first and to act fast. We've told them to go back and make another decision.
Now, in that case, you said just then, is it appropriate? It's not appropriate to have the indefinite ban. If that is the case, and therefore the indefinite nature of the ban is inappropriate, would it not have been correct to reinstate Mr. Trump while a final decision on the wider issue is made, in pretty much the way that many appeals courts would do it? They would release somebody pending the final decision.
Not in this case, no. So the board found also very clearly that Donald Trump deserved to be suspended on January 7th. The president encouraged and legitimized violence that cost lives in Washington. The board has said to Facebook, before you restore any influential user, including political leaders and heads of state, you need to test whether that decision is likely to harm users. So we've asked Facebook in the next 6 months to go back and test that before they make any action to restore the president.
And in terms of the wider issue for the board, essentially these decisions that the board makes, and there are 5 or 6, several of them, where you, on postings, you upheld or you didn't uphold, they're decisions because they have great reasoning within the decision are precedents that will be used in the future. As I said in my earlier interview, they are quasi-legal as regards Facebook.
You're absolutely right, Richard. You know, the board is going to be operating for years, we hope. And over that time, over the long term, we're going to illuminate more and more of these systemic problems that we have with Facebook. And that should serve as a guide, not just for Facebook, but for everyone on the outside who's scrutinizing the company, wondering about, you know, the power that this company holds. It will help us guide, hopefully, all of the digital society towards better, fairer rules that serve users.
Dex, I can't decide after reading the decision, did the board show great courage in saying we're independent and you haven't done your job, go back and do it properly, or did it show great cowardice in that, oh, we're not touching this with a 10-foot pole?
Well, you know, anything involving free expression and human rights will have folks who think there are easy decisions to be made. These issues are incredibly challenging. They set huge precedents for how folks around the world are going to be treated, and, you know, many communities which are struggling through transitions to democracy. It's really important that we act carefully here. And the board has not lurched into the temptation to make a crowd-pleasing decision. We've made a decision that we think upholds free expression and human rights.
Good to talk to you, Dex. We will talk more. I have a feeling this board is going to be with us for many years and will be much discussion. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Out of London tonight.
Thanks, Richard.